Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. We're going to run through the volunteer training. It's just a good refresher, a reminder, and it may bring up some questions that you guys may have about the center or your shifts that happen here during the week that we can answer. So I just put this together. Hopefully there's not too many spelling errors or anything like that. But we'll get going. So next, Jen. There we go. So the history, a lot of you might know this, but I'll just read it. The Sanctuary Youth Centre has served youth at risk in Victoria, BC since 2004. Its original vision came from a group of local pastors who were motivated to take action on a problem they saw was continually getting worse in their communities. Its founding leader and first executive director had a vision to open a drop-in center where youth experiencing homelessness, abuse, and other difficult issues could go to find respite, safety, and love. Okay. So our vision statement, we imagine a future where all youth are leading healthy and fulfilling lives, and our mission, inspired by the love of Christ, we build relationships with at-risk youth and support them in discovering their strengths and overcoming their challenges. And hopefully you guys are seeing that. There's definitely some positive stories of youth going through recovery and doing well and getting jobs. That's been really exciting lately. So the structure is the umbrella organization. The nonprofit organization is called Cornerstone Youth Society. And then, of course, the center is called Sanctuary Youth Center. We have a board of directors, of which Ken is one of those board of directors. Darren, our executive director, myself as program manager, and then staff and volunteers. And we don't say that to put you down here. You guys are so important, and we actually really would have difficulty running this place without volunteers. You're so very important. Next slide. So yeah, Darren, executive director. I'm the program manager. Then we have weekly staff, Jen Myers, who's at the back, Laura Goodwin, who's here as well, and Isaac, who's not able to be here today. Cello has moved to the social media website. I keep seeing more spelling errors.
Rowena's name needs to be on weekly staff.
Yeah. On weekly staff. Yeah. Sorry, Rowena. Oh my gosh. I'm going to change that. Sorry. See, this is where I need all these errors. You should be taking notes for me, Rowena. It doesn't have spell check when you do Canva. So, yeah.
So she's already on the way out.
On the way out. Okay, we'll put a little person running out on this side. And Cello is doing our social media and website and helping with videos and things like that, which we're really thankful for. And like I said, volunteers keep Sanctuary running. You're needed and valuable. And we generally have and want around 15 to 20 volunteers. So we generally have between 2 and 4 every day. That's our hope. And you guys make such a difference in making this place run smoothly. So again, thank you for volunteering at Sanctuary and giving your time. Next slide. So you guys all know our drop-in hours. Those have switched from spring, summer, 3 to 7. Now we're into our fall and winter, 4 to 8 p.m. And that's mainly, most of you probably know, it gets darker, wetter, colder, and the shelters open around 8 or 8:30. So it's a good way to not have them out in the cold as much as possible, right? So they can go straight from here to those places. Sanctuary, as you guys all know, warm meals, take-home food, shower facilities, laundry services, clothes, shoes, backpacks. We're collecting for our Christmas backpack giveaway that we'll be doing again this year. And of course, all the games that we have, pool table, couches, video games, board games, and lots of fun, hopefully. And we also like to connect our youth to different community resources. We're often working with different resources like shelters or the ministry, or places like the Foundry who help with counseling or medical help. A lot of the youth know those resources already, but we are able to connect them there and to point them in that direction. We just did that yesterday. Somebody was looking to have some drugs tested, to go to a clinic, and so we were able to share that information with them. Next slide. So stats and attendance. We take this daily. We try and make sure it's fully accurate. We try and get, of course, first names. We want to be respectful if youth aren't comfortable giving last names, but if they are, we try and take that information. and stay as up to date on everything that's happening. So just if different concerns or issues come up in the center, you guys probably see staff back there just taking note of that so we can, you think you're going to remember things, but it is easy to forget. And so the next slide is just some stats that you guys can see there. The far left one is the number of attendants. And so this year is the orange. So it's pretty cool. You can see it generally going up from it is going up every month from last year. So we're happy to see more youth in the center, an opportunity to, love on them, point them in some healthy directions, of course, and share the love of God with them. You can see the gender graph there as well, of guys versus girls and transgender youth there. Daily average visits, that's continuing to go up there as well. And then you can just get an idea of the different ages of youth.
The ages one is a little less accurate.
Is it? Okay, yeah. It's harder probably because we can't get always the exact age.
Spike that you see in July was just graphing calculative, not
okay.
Actually,
yeah. Okay, perfect.
So can I just interject? Mm-hmm. One reason we take notes too is because if there's an incident of a problem, youth that's gone missing, then we have something to refer back to, like if police were to call or something like that. So we have a record. They really like, agencies really like that.
Sorry, this is not turning on. I don't know. Can you maybe charge? I already charged them both. Yeah. There was a light on? Oh, maybe there it goes. Perfect. Alrighty, next slide. Hi, Harley. Perfect. Yeah, thank you. So your volunteer role, a lot of this stuff is kind of what we call the housekeeping stuff, but it is really important, and we know sometimes there is some flexibility within this stuff, but I think it's just really important to go over. So showing up for your shift 15 minutes beforehand, it's just like a job sometimes, right? Just sort of preparing yourself. We have our prayer time and discussion where we kind of just let people know if there's been things that have gone on earlier in the week or the previous day. We can update people so they're prepared and just ready for the day. Letting myself or Darren know if you can't attend your shift with as much notice as possible. Obviously, if you're going to be away or vacation, let us know as much as possible. We know sometimes people get sick and these things happen, but we really, like I said before, we really do rely on you guys. So sometimes it can make a difference if there's a last minute change in volunteers. So as much notice as possible. Generally, people have been texting me. I feel like that's the easiest way. We also have a platform called Slack. I know Trish uses that quite a bit. Not everybody likes Slack. If you're interested in that, you can let me know. Of course, email as well. Wear appropriate casual clothing. You could be doing lots of, games, pool, get food on you, that sort of thing. Be prepared to stay 10 to 15 minutes after shift. This usually isn't the case. We like to kind of have a little debrief and a prayer at the end. Sometimes a couple weeks ago, there was a really tough day and we needed to sit down and have a chat and a discussion just so people could leave feeling like they had processed it. Felt like they could share any concerns they had about that day. Attend mandatory training 3 times per year. Good job, you're all here. We want to do something in the new year as well. And so again, that will be something that we feel is really helpful to both staff and volunteers in terms of training. And if there's something that you guys want to learn about that you think would be helpful, let us know. I think de-escalation is on there. Last year I did a little bit of trauma-informed practice, I think, which is really helpful. Respond to emails promptly. I know this one's hard. I just hate feeling like I'm running after people a little bit, which I know I've been on the other end of that myself. So responding to emails as promptly as possible. And then we do have different volunteer events. We had a barbecue at the end of the summer or in September. Those sorts of things just build some camaraderie, connection between those of you that are all supporting and volunteering at the center. Perfect. Next one. So what do you do on your shift? Most of you have figured this out already, but obviously connecting with youth during drop-in, playing games, pool, video games, board games, card games, that sort of thing. Striking up positive and easygoing discussions. I remember finding this, like, even though I'm a really people person, sometimes going to sit with a youth or somebody that's alone was a little bit difficult for me, which is why the table is nice to do that around eating. But just sort of starting with casual is a really great place to begin. Like I said, eating meals and sitting down with the youth. Oftentimes, if you're new, sitting down with other staff that know the youth well, right? And we can be part of that conversation together as a group, which is nice. Helping the youth find clothes and toiletries, use the laundry, those sorts of things. A lot of you really enjoy helping in the kitchen, which is a big benefit for us staff and gives us a little break. We appreciate that. So helping serve food and wash dishes. That being said, we really want to get improve always in spelling each other off so that you guys, if you want to be out playing pool or doing a video game, you don't necessarily feel like you're stuck back there. But some people love that as well. So participate in fun activities, both at the center and out in the community. So sometimes on Wednesdays or different days of the week, some of you have been participants in going on outings in the community, which we try and do. So you can be part of that. Help with chores needed throughout your shift. There's different, on the fridge there, we often have different checklists of things that might need to be done, or in the kitchen, things that can be cleaned if you're looking for something to do. And then we have what we call now our little huddle. I think everybody's familiar with that word, where usually around 6:20, 6:30, or 7:20, 7:30 for winter hours, we're connecting as staff and volunteers and just making sure that those different end of the night cleanup is done and that everybody has something to do. And, you know, the more hands, that gets done quickly. Yeah, next slide. This is a really big one that we wanted to bring up. Different things come up. I think that some of us, I would say I've struggled with healthy boundaries in the past. Not, you know, because I want to reach out or I want to connect with youth. And or different things might come up in terms of social media and whatnot, and we just wanted to address those more specifically. So we realize a lot of these may not be a struggle for you, but we still think it's really important to bring it up. So you'll see I have it bracketed with build relationship first on the top and bottom, because that is the biggest thing I think here with youth in terms of our conversations, in terms of our interactions with them, is we really wanting to build a foundation where they trust us. A lot of them, of course, have adults in their life that they don't trust. Some people might be more distrusting of men or women. And so we really want to build that healthy foundation. So asking first before hugging, touching, praying. I think really watching for cues. And I think this is something that comes with time, right? As you get to know the youth better, that sort of thing. But sometimes it can be uncomfortable for them, right? And so really watching for those cues. As I've gotten to know some of the youth, I might say, hey, I'd like to pray for you. Can I do that now? Or I can pray when you're gone. And they'll say, oh, you can pray when I leave, right? That sort of thing, so that they're feeling comfortable with that. There are some youth that we might have known for years or whatever, and we're gonna, haven't seen them for a while, kind of like a side hug or a hug. But I think, again, that's based on a relationship that we've had with that youth for quite a while. Think first before sharing your story and self-disclosure. I'm a really open book, and some of you here can probably relate to that. Or some of you may have experiences in your life that you feel like the youth can relate to. And I think this is, again, something that we build the relationship and just really asking ourselves, why am I sharing it, right? With this youth, what's the purpose behind it? Am I oversharing, giving too many details that maybe youth don't need to know or won't be helpful for them? So I think there's times where definitely we can say, hey, yeah, I went through this in my life, and I notice you're experiencing that as well, and we can share a little bit, but just really being mindful that we're not kind of emotionally dumping on youth or doing it for, maybe it's more for our benefit rather than for them. Don't give out personal information like cell phone numbers, emails, where you live, things like that, just to be professional and safety. Don't share or take photos with the youth. We do that at times, and most of them we have waivers that they've signed for photos that we can use them in the newsletter. Sometimes we block their faces out in the newsletter if we don't have permission, but not doing that with the youth. Don't friend a youth on social media or accept friend requests. And I won't go into too much detail, but we did have an issue not too far long ago where there was a connection between social media, and some youth saw things they probably just didn't need to see. And so we really want to just protect those spaces and make it professional. Some of our staff will have work social media. So that's like Darren has that, and that's a way for him to connect with youth in the community. But we don't encourage that with our volunteers. Don't give or accept personal gifts. And so Darren wanted a bit of elaboration on this, and that sometimes we might see youth that don't have a lot of money, don't have a lot of like clothes or shoes, things like that, and we might want to help them or give. And we really appreciate that, the heart behind that. And I think the best way to go about that is talking to a lead staff of maybe how you could donate to the center, or we can talk to you about maybe providing some shoes that could be open to all people, that sort of thing. We want to be careful about having favorites or having these sort of private relationships where things are given. So I think all of that stuff needs to flow through the lead staff. Did you want to add to that?
I mean, yeah, it's just it's some are new when you're new here and you want to do something, and that's very commendable. But it's the people that have been here longer that knows particular youth and how they're maybe going to use the things that we give them for the things they're not intended. Like they could go around and go back outside, sell what we've given them, and use it for. So it's just that kind of stuff that we want to watch for.
Mm-hmm. Great. This is a given. Don't use alcohol or drugs or engage in romantic relationships with youth. I think that's a given, but it's good to just put it out there. Don't meet with youth outside the program unless you've spoken with lead staff. So sometimes you're going to make a really good connection with a youth, and you might think, oh, I'd really love to go for coffee with that person. And again, I think once that relationship's been built, there's a foundation, not just between you and that youth, but between staff as well. We're comfortable with you. We can see how you are with the youth. That's definitely something that can happen, but definitely, again, just going through lead staff, Darren and myself, to talk about that. And even staff, when we spend time with youth outside the program, we're always letting other staff know, just for that accountability piece, right? It's really important, meeting in public places and whatnot. Avoid having discussions with other staff or volunteers that youth could overhear or find upsetting. So just to kind of maybe bring some clarity to this, I think sometimes we can have discussions about things that we believe. It could be politics, it could be things going on in the world or our personal life, but it might also be something that could be upsetting to a youth. A lot of our youth, as you know, have varying belief systems and values themselves. And of course, as an organization that's built on the love of Christ, many of us might have more conservative views, or different views than the youth. And it's not to say that these conversations can't happen in a really healthy way when we've built these relationships, but we also don't want to turn youth off or have them hear something that's like, that's really offensive, and there's no way to debrief it or have that conversation with them. Is that understandable? Yeah, we just want to be really mindful about those things. And again, build relationship first. And it might feel like some of you are not here as often as you would maybe like or be able to be, but as you're consistent in coming to your shifts over months, you are going to have those connections with kids. You've only been here for a couple months, Shwena, and I've already heard a couple of youth say how much they like you. Oh. Yeah, so you know how friendly you are. No, it's both of you, right? So I think it's really amazing how just being there and being consistent, they don't have a lot of people that are consistent in their lives. And so you guys are really building that as you come here week to week. So thank you. Staff only roles. And if any other staff want to add to this, please let me know. Attendance and note taking, that's generally a staff thing in behind the control room there. That's where we do that. That being said, youth are going to share things with you guys. They're going to share positive things. I got a job, or I found a home, or they might share something difficult with you. And it's really important. It might not seem like a big deal to you, but that might be something like we're like, wow, we know that youth really well. That's actually really pertinent information. Or we're just really excited for that youth and want to be able to celebrate that. So definitely talking with staff about maybe some of the things that the youth are sharing with you. And of course, just being mindful of doing that privately. I think the youth probably know that we do have conversations about them, but we don't advertise that, right? So just being really respectful in that situation. So dealing with really difficult situations, confrontations, or upset youth. Now, it's not to say that you might not be a part of that or be close by, but really those are things that staff, again, we're here every day. We know the youth really well and can deal with those situations. From a female perspective, sometimes our volunteers might be the only male person there on that shift. And so it's possible that we could ask you at times just to be there for backup or something like that. But generally it would be staff handling those more challenging situations. Dealing with police, calling 911, shelters, social workers, doing first aid, giving naloxone, that would all be primarily staff. That being said, if a volunteer was outside and they had a naloxone kit on them and something happens, and they know how to use it, absolutely, that sort of thing. But I would say that would primarily be a staff job. We are legally required to report any suspected or disclosed abuse involving anyone over 18. So we'll carry that on the next slide. So with that in mind, everyone has a duty to report child abuse and neglect under Canadian child welfare laws. Child abuse is the physical or psychological mistreatment of a child under 19 years by an adult. This includes physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional maltreatment, and exposure to domestic violence. Neglect refers to situations in which a child's caregiver fails to provide adequate clothing, food, or shelter. Neglect can also apply to the abandonment of a child or the omission of basic care, such as medical or dental care. So if a youth shares something about abuse with you as a volunteer in any of these categories, please inform a staff member immediately, and then we can report together with you if that needs to happen. So we definitely want you part of that process, but we would ask that you come to us as well. And of course, there's always different situations with each youth that might be really important for reporting that instance, or might be really pertinent to just, we might know a little bit more about the situation, we might be involved with the parents or something like that. So definitely coming to staff and letting us know if they're sharing something that's very concerning for you. And that does happen for sure.
Can I interject?
Please.
Just a reminder, if youth are going to share or disclose and you think that they're about to say something, but they haven't said it yet, we have to say, just a minute, I understand you're going to disclose something. Then tell the youth that when you disclose something to me, I'm now obligated to share it with authorities. So you're going to need to let the youth know that there is a responsibility we have. They might not like that, and that might actually stop them from, they might shut down too. But they need to know that's what we have to do, and a lot of times they're not going to like it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so because it'll mean some further action. So yeah, it's part of working with youth. When my kids got in trouble at school, or they were, someone else in trouble, and they bring the story home, and we say, okay, we're going to call the school, and they go, no, don't do that. They didn't want us to do anything further, right? So they just don't want the problem to get bigger. That's kind of like the youth mentality. So yeah, but sometimes it has to.
For sure.
Carry on. Yeah.
So the tough part, and a lot of you guys know this already, but I wanted to include it. You will see youth high on drugs, sweating, moving a lot, agitated, very tired. Youth using marijuana on property. We don't allow hard drugs. We do encourage them, if they are going to do those drugs, to not do it alone, to be with somebody in case there's an overdose. We see youth, of course, with mental health, in psychosis. Youth with trauma, painful backgrounds and situations. Youth that may be struggling with hygiene. So, we can see that many of them may not have showered, or they're quite dirty, or they might smell. There are some times where we may encourage a youth to have a shower if it's impacting the center, but we try not to push that. We want to accept each youth as they come in, and that can be challenging. Youth that are angry, frustrated, and depressed. I'm sure there's a lot more to add to that list, but I know you guys have probably seen mostly all of that on your shifts. So moving to the next slide, how to manage the pain you're seeing. And you might have some more suggestions on this, but talking to staff, we're here to help you process. And I think, of course, staff are compassionate. We love these youth, but at the same time, sometimes you get really used to seeing it. Some of you probably feel that way as well. you've seen it a lot, and it's not that you don't care anymore, but you're so used to it, you forget that it might be impacting a newer volunteer in a really tough way. It might be bringing something up for them. So I think talking to us, letting us help you process that. Ask questions. Understanding helps us cope and respond. So before coming to this job, I didn't have a lot of background with youth that were addicted to drugs. And so understanding the different drugs or how it might affect youth, that's been new for me, and it might be new for you as well. We have resources that we can share that information with you to help you be more educated on that. We can also obviously share what we know. Talking to family and friends or a counselor if you have one, while being confidential about our space that can support, encourage, and pray for you when you're at the center. You know, we're doing the work of the Lord here, and sometimes, you know, the enemy wants to squash that, and I think that can happen in us feeling discouraged or feeling like, oh, this is too much for me or too hard, right? And we want to walk through that with you. And we do have resources at the center. Darren's got different books in his office. We've got some in the control room there. Yeah, we would love to support you in any way possible. And talking to youth about faith. So again, the focus on building relationships first. I remember when I think my first week here, I asked a staff member, I said, what advice do you have for me working here? And he said, don't preach. And, you know, we are built on the love of Christ, and we want to share that, not just through words, but primarily through our actions too, right? So I think it seems so immediate, I don't know, urgent maybe, right? That we want these youth to feel that there's a God who loves them and cares for them and has a plan for them. But I think it is playing the long game, and that's something I've learned as well myself. So trust opens the door to deeper conversations. Let faith come up naturally. We had a discussion with one youth over here because he started talking about how I don't know anything about God or the Bible. And I was like, oh, well, I love talking about those things. And we had a really great discussion about that. And then I could tell at some point he was ready to be done that conversation. So again, it's picking up on those cues and not pushing those things. Waiting for opportunities when youth show curiosity or openness. Asking questions and listening, not just sharing or talking at them, right? Engaging. Sharing your beliefs respectfully and briefly from your own experience. Again, if they're wanting more information, absolutely carry on. But I think just being really mindful that we don't want youth to feel that they're going to come here and be talked at, that we're accepting them where they're at, right? Which is what Jesus does. He accepts us where we're at. And we have to remember too, there's youth that come here, especially Indigenous youth, but also other youth from different backgrounds that might have a really painful or upsetting experience with faith or Christianity, and just being really mindful of that as well. So again, not forcing conversations or prayer on youth, really building that relationship with them. And as most of you, if you're here on Fridays or not here on Fridays, it's good to know that we do have a time of actually dedicated time to bring up discussions. Darren showed a really amazing video yesterday of a gang member that had a really amazing testimony. And they were watching. They were really, it wasn't a big group yesterday, but they were really riveted, and they talked about it afterwards. And whatever they took from that, they took from that. But you know, it was just a great opportunity to share a little bit about what we believe. Yeah, and I think that's the last one, Jen. Open to you guys. Any comments or questions about me running through that so quickly?
That was well done.
Okay, thank you. For the spell checking, I need to go through with a fine tooth. Rowena can be my editor.
I thought the presentation, you really summarized it well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the long game is a good one. A lady reached out to me who used to come here as a teenager. She needed milk for her kids, and wondered if we could help. So, and I just happened to have a hand too, so I dropped it off just before Thanksgiving. And she was so thankful. She was over the moon, and she said, you know, she just lives down the street from Highway Christian Fellowship, which is where we had the Ride for Refuge. So we got talking about the church. He said, that church last summer gave me some furniture. They had a day where it's called the Big Give, and they're just giving away stuff in the community. and she benefited. She was really happy. And she said, I go to the church, but my boyfriend or the daddy, her children's daddy, doesn't want me to go. But you could tell she's thinking. She probably, if she had no barriers, she would be checking it out or sending her kids there. You know, so the wheels are turning. So you have to take sometimes take that long game. It's hard to do sometimes. Now there are opportunities we just get right into it. But, yeah.
Awesome. Anybody else? You want to fill up your coffee, get another treat, go to the bathroom, and then we'll start with Kenda.